First things first, you dice up the onion a little bit. Doesn't really matter how you cut up the onion, I guess. Throw it in a bowl. Move on to the carrots, top and tail them. Cut the top parts in half and then slice everything so that it's all the same size. You want it to all be the same size so that it cooks evenly and at the same time. Onto the beef. Cut up the beef in much the same way that you did the carrots so that it's all even pieces. You'll see during this process I separate out some of the random bits of fat so that they can render out individually. Fat tastes nice, so it's good to have a lot of it lying around in your stew. Some people skim the fat off the top of the stew while they're cooking. I think that's dumb. It just adds the flavor. You just stir it back in afterwards anyway. When you take out pho and you got leftovers and you throw it in the fridge, when you take it out, it's like a quarter fat. So that's the stuff that tastes good. I think skimming the fat off is kind of defeats the whole purpose of the stew, but whatever. It's what the official recipes tend to say. Once you're done chopping it up, you want to salt it pretty good. Not like a crazy amount, but enough so it's covering all the meat. You're gonna want to brown the meat. So the way you do that, you turn the heat on high, throw some olive oil in the pan. I like using olive oil, I think it tastes good. Then throw the meat in small batches. That's the best way to do it. If you do it all at once, it's not gonna sear very well, it's just gonna steam and it's not gonna get the depth of flavor that you want. You can see the brown stuff on the bottom of the pan right now, that's what you want. That's caramel basically, that's like meat caramel. And that's where all the flavor is. See, I got the onions on deck up there. Those are gonna go directly in once I'm done browning all of the meat. Then I'm gonna drop the temperature to a medium-low so that they can sort of sweat instead of searing. And the released water will get all of that meat gunk off the bottom of the pan for you. You might need to help it along and scrape a little bit, which is why it's a good idea to switch to a wooden spoon at this point instead of using something metal and scraping up your nice enamel pot. You can see all the gunk on the bottom of the pans coming up very easily now that I've dropped the temperature and added the onions. It was at this point that I forgot that I needed to add garlic to this dish, so I went ahead and chopped it while the onions were continuing to simmer. Then you want to add the carrots and the garlic and the onions all to the pot together and let them all get to know each other in the juices. That's the best way to do it. Then at this point I added some Better Than Bouillon, which is the same thing as a stock cube or like a demi-glaze. You can get it at almost every supermarket. It's super good and it really helps elevate this kind of thing if you don't want to make your own stock or befriend a butcher and ask for beef bones. This is a really good way around that. There's a lot of recipes for beef bourguignon that are like, hey, go get a bunch of bones from a butcher and brown them in the oven and stew this beef stock on your stove for 12 hours, but it's not really necessary when you have these kinds of modern innovations. Alright, let those get to know each other. You can go ahead and open up your bottle of wine now. Pour about a cup of the wine into the vegetable mixture. You want to make sure you don't go much above 2 cups of wine maximum for this dish. If you do that, you end up with hot wine beef, which can still taste good, but is going to be overpowering. At this point, I let it simmer for a while and allow the wine to boil before adding the beef back to the pot, adding some dried thyme, and pouring some water to cover the meat. Now I'm going to make the bouquet garni. It's a bundle of herbs, parsley, thyme, and bay leaves tied together with twine. Pretty easy to make. If you tie it together, not too tightly, but pretty tightly, you can usually keep it together in the stew. I've had it dissolve quite a few times where all this stuff just comes out. All that means is you end up having to pick a bunch of it out of the stew. It's kind of obnoxious. Try to keep it together if you can. You might have to be a little more careful when you're stirring things, but should be able to figure it out. Then you just let it simmer for forever. This one took about an hour and a half. I'm not sure why. The beef cooked fully in that time. Sometimes it'll take more like 2 hours. Can even take up to 2.5 hours. You want to make sure that you don't overcook the meat though. You can still dry out beef even if it's submerged in liquid. It'll just be wet on the outside and dry on the inside, which is pretty gross. So keep an eye on it, and every 20 minutes or so give it a good stir, and after about an hour start trying to flake pieces of meat off with a fork, and if they come off easily, it's all done and you're ready to reduce the sauce down to like a sticky consistency and then serve it. For this, I'm serving it with chives and chopped parsley, and then I've also got some crusty French bread, in this case a tiny baguette, that I'm gonna cut up and include in the finished product. And that's about it. It's pretty easy. It's just French beef stew. It's not difficult. Anybody can do it, and it's a really great thing if you happen to have a nice, or even a not very nice, cut of beef lying around. Just go ahead and throw it in a pot, braise it with some wine, have it with a little crusty French bread, or egg noodles are also really good. And yeah, that's dinner. So there you go. Hope you all enjoyed.